So we do this little thing called the pots. Woo. We put all of the questions that people asked and all the comments people said in here, and then we just pick from it and we go off of that and just talk on it. And so we're about to get into the topics, and what we do is we do a little spirit fingers and we make a little sound effect because I don't have a soundboard. So I would love for you to do it with me all the way from Kansas City. So get them spirit fingers out, please. Yes! All right, that's the only time I'll make you do it. Don't worry. Okay. All right. So, do you feel like you have an abundance or a scarce mindset? So, for the people who don't know what that means, an abundance mindset, you have the thought like anybody can do this. Like there's enough room for everybody. Everybody can get to the top no matter what. The scarcity mindset is just thinking like it's a competition all the way through. Like you need to step on whoever you need to because it's all for one. So which one would you guys say that you have?
I would say off top probably abundance, just because I think that everybody is essentially capable of doing anything. I think what a big part of why some people tend to be better at things than others may have something to do, and this is just my personal opinion, just like the initial skill sets that we're blessed with initially, like from birth or however may have you, just makes certain skills and things easier for us. But I do feel like anybody really can achieve and master anything. It's just a matter of that work that you have to put in.
I would agree with that. I would also say that I kind of teeter between both. I don't really feel like everybody can achieve anything that they want to, not in this lifetime. And that's just me thinking from a realistic standpoint, right? But I do think that if you grind enough and you believe it enough, that it can happen or whatever. So that's why I think I like go between both. Because if you think about it, a lot of people want to do makeup, right? But Kylie Jenner and people like Kylie Jenner, like they have $1 billion business. And having $1 billion business is kind of like what stops other people from being so successful. If people were spending at every business equally, then yes, I can be like, oh yeah, everyone can make it. But you know, at the moment, I think it's like whoever's popular and who's ever putting in the most work is like who's really going to come out on top. You know.
Yeah.
I agree with you a lot on that. I'm both. You know, like because there's kind of two different versions of me. There's my professional self who I'm very corporate structure oriented, and that is scarcity, you know, so I'm one of those people, like, I fight tooth and nail for my success, and to kind of build myself, and I know that whenever I get to a certain point, I can help others, but I think in life, it is abundance. Like, I think that if you want to do something, obviously not everybody can do anything, but I think that if it's something that's realistic, that you know, really have a passion for, I do think you can accomplish something with it.
Something. Yeah. You may not get to the top, but like you can do something.
I don't believe that there's a finite amount of success in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I think that your success is what you want. If you don't believe you're going to be successful, you're not going to be.
That's true.
Exactly.
Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I do agree with what you guys said. I guess I was thinking more of the, like, aesthetic and passion for certain things as opposed to like the success. So if it's talking about success, yeah, I definitely feel like there's and especially the climate that we live in where there's this kind of like hegemonic culture that really limits people who don't fit this status quo or aren't seen in their eyes as acceptable. It's much harder to succeed. So it's definitely a balance of both.
Yeah, I think everything in life really comes out to be balanced, but I think it's good to go about life having an abundance mindset because then you in turn manifest the things that you want. So that's why I feel like people should, you know, preach it as like, don't say it as like anybody can have anything, but like say, hey, if you think this way, you may be able to attract it because it'll change how you make decisions in life. So I think that's really the concept that should be spread.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because in order to feel like you could be successful, you do have to believe in some sort of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be easy to say, oh no, that's already being done. But you have to recognize that there's enough success if you have the grit and the will to do it. So I agree with that.
True. Shit. Let's get into the next ones. Okay. How do you feel about B. Simone's preference? So if you don't know who B. Simone is, she was this girl who was really popular on Vine. That's how I know her.
Same.
And then she became on Wild 'N Out or something like that. And she was having this interview with Nick Cannon, and Nick Cannon kind of asked her what her preference in guys were. And she said that she can't date a man who's working a 9 to 5. She's been there, done that, so she's trying to level up. She's trying to date a man who can be where she is and work anywhere, in the world type stuff. And she got a lot of backlash for that. And I guess I just want to ask you guys, why do you think she got the backlash she got?
So for me personally, I think it's because you're putting somebody down basically.
Okay.
That's me saying, oh, I would never date somebody because they're an entrepreneur and they have their own business.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wrong to measure somebody's success or worth by saying, oh, you have a business or you don't have a business, because somebody can really have a lot of success and a great life and a comfortable life if they don't have a business. I understand you might not have that same go-getter attitude or that same passion or that same grit, drive, whatever you want to call it. I get that. But to me, when she said that, it was really putting down most people. And I see on Twitter a lot where people are like, oh, you don't have your own business, I can't fuck with you. You're not trying to do this, I can't fuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's just not a fair place to come, because that's not what everybody's for.
True. What did you think about it?
So initially when I heard it, I think it was just, I think the biggest thing is just the rhetoric. I don't really think she was intending to say that or put down people that have 9 to 5s. I think it just kind of came out like that, and that's how people perceived it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's very important to acknowledge the shred on the daily that people who have 9 to 5s go through.
Right.
Because there's a lot that you have to sacrifice when you're doing that, and it's all to support yourself. It's an honest living, and it's definitely, that's kind of how I feel on it. But as time progressed, I kind of lost that initial kind of whoa, that initial shock factor, and it led me to realize everybody has their preferences.
Yeah.
I think just as long as you're not necessarily, I guess, for lack of a better word, discriminating because someone has a 9 to 5, then I feel like it's okay in my book. To me, it sounded like she wanted a Forex trader, but
not the Forex. All right. So I guess I'm agreeing with both of you, but intention is such an important thing to consider, when deciphering what somebody means. And I felt like she wasn't really trying to put anyone down. She was just genuinely answering Nick Cannon's question. And I think as somebody who was a 9 to 5 worker and who no longer wants to be just that and wants somebody else who is on her level, I feel like that's a fair thing to want. And I don't even really think, I don't know, I feel like that may be insecurity on a lot of 9 to 5 workers' part, or like you said, seeing the whole thing on Twitter over and over again, so just assuming, because I feel like you can be an entrepreneur and broke as fuck. That's me, the fuck. You grinding, but you ain't bringing in no money, and that's how it is the first few years. And I think she was just talking about the mindset, because people who are entrepreneurs do have a different type of mindset than somebody who is driven in a 9 to 5. Because we're just hustle, and when you have somebody else who's like that, they get it. You don't have to explain shit. Me, I'm constantly having to explain things to people who aren't entrepreneurs, so I'm just ugh. So I get them on the 9 to 5 side because I still have a 9 to 5, but at the on the other hand, I don't I can't relate to them on that end. So that's how I took it.
Yeah, and I think I see so much of that kind of stuff on Twitter. Somebody's basically what I see very frequently is our generation likes to measure success based on like what you can kind of claim as your own, and a lot of people associate that with a business that's your own, and so maybe that's like kind of where I was coming from on it. That's why I saw it that way, and I don't agree with that. So you know, that's kind of just where I came from, and like you said, intention is important.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I can see why people might have felt like she was being like a little negative or whatever, just because she didn't make an honest living all the way through. So
Correct.
Shit. Next topic. Do you like predictability? Yes, I do. I like to know what's gonna happen, and that's really like not gonna work for me. Like as I become like more into the world that I really want to be in, because I don't know, like things are unpredictable and things happen or whatever. And like when things happen, I like have this like way of like, okay, it's not going to happen again because I'm going to make sure I do this, this, and that. And like I have to continuously add to that list. I have to do this in case this happens, or I have to do that in case that happens. Just because I like to be prepared for shit. Like I like to know what's going to happen. What about you?
Yeah. I feel like personally there should be, like, again, going back to this balance thing, there should definitely be a little bit of both. And I think, in fact, not having one or having too much of the other kind of leads to this, like, improportionate kind of mindset. So if you're, like, I've seen people that are so critical of themselves and, like, particular, that they absolutely despise, like, spontaneity to the point where things become routine. But I feel like that oftentimes takes away some of the passion, you know? And then the inverse of that, somebody has all the passion, but loses the drive to pursue or make it happen because they aren't being critical enough or assertive enough. And I think it's kind of going into this thing I equate it to, and not trying to get like super deep here, but like organization and chaos, right? And you could argue that you kind of need both in order to have a stable balance. But just bringing it back to this, I definitely, like me on the other hand, I'm more lenient towards the creative, spontaneous side. I just like the natural raw beauty that comes from sometimes things not being certain about the outcome, but I always try to find it in them.
Yeah.
No. I need predictability. I need to know kind of like what my challenges are going to be. That way I can plan accordingly.
That's how I feel. Like at my current job right now, like I have a supervisor who's just like all over the place, and I can't do that. Like I literally be telling her, you need to send me an email of the things I need to do today, because you just popping up and being like, oh Victoria, can you do, like that doesn't fucking work. That doesn't work. So I don't know. I just don't accept that, because I'm like, I don't know.
Not being able, like, but I associate with a lot of different things, because like growing up, sometimes predictability of like, do we have enough money to keep water on or lights on or whatever, that kind of comes back to me. So like, because of that, not knowing what could happen caused me a great amount of anxiety.
Right.
And so that has really transitioned to now. Like, if I don't have my rent taken care of well in advance, I'm like, that's it, y'all. I'm being homeless this week. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And it, you know, goes into my professional world too. I'm a planner, and if we have a plan and it goes this way, I have to re-plan for this way, and the goal has changed.
Right.
And if we go back this way, I have to fix my plan back to this way. But that's just, you know, predictability is really like sort of like a safety net for me.
I guess not even like really predictability, but structure. Like I need structure, because I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, I went off on my supervisor the other day. I went off on her, and I was like, ooh snap, that was the anxiety talking, because I mean, I need things planned, and I was like, damn, am I gonna get fired? Thank God it did not, right? But I just feel like if for anything that you really want to do in life, like any job, any creative plan, like you're gonna need structure. Like you can't just wing it all the time, because then things are gonna fall apart and then your emotions are not gonna be in check. So I guess that's why I like it.
I like structure and predictability. I like to see my path, and I like to know how to walk it.
As long as everything if things happen within the guidelines, I'm cool with it. Like if it's a surprise, but it happens within the guidelines, I'm like, all right. Like for instance, I told my friends what to get me for my birthday, right? They were like so appalled that I was demanding what I wanted for my birthday. So they got me what I wanted, but my friend threw in this wine glass. So I was like, okay, so that's a surprise within my guidelines, so I was cool with that. Yeah. But shit, that's just how.
And I think it comes down to like your personality too. Like I'm just not a creative. Really, I'm not. Like I would say most people say my spoken word is my creativity, but like at the end of the day, I'm just kind of fucking rude.
Ooh.
And people think you're cute, but no, I'm rude. But I'm also very type A. You know what I mean? Like I'm very type A and kind of rigid about it. So.
Yeah, I'm a creative, so. I'm just that type of person that, I definitely try to find ways to be spontaneous without ramifications. I think that there are certain things in life that, of course, you have to have structure. When it comes to your responsibilities, that's something you shouldn't be spontaneous about. But I think that you tend to find more joy in life, and granted, I'm 21, so I haven't lived that much life, but just from my own lens and me like self-analyzing and outwardly looking around me, I see the most happiest people are those people that let go of their anxiety and try to find those ways to think what happens and turn it into a beautiful situation. Like somebody just said, I've learned to act predictable while expecting chaos. Like, I think that's important to be able to see or like be able to know that the unexpected might happen, but also be prepared for whatever hits. And in that sense, being, spontaneous or being open to spontaneity.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm only spontaneous when I'm under the influence severely,
I'm really
like,
not.
Let's do this. Really?
I'm a scary ass.
Nah, y'all saw me at my party. I was like, whoa, let's do this. Whoa.
I'm kind of a prude. Like, I know y'all couldn't believe it, but I am. I'm a prude.
Okay. All right, let's get into the next topic. Okay. Can a 9-to-5 prepare you for entrepreneurship and vice versa? I don't think an entrepreneurship can prepare you for a 9-to-5, but I do think a 9-to-5 can prepare you for an entrepreneurship. I just feel like once you start off as somebody who just has like a business, like, because people have businesses since they were kids or whatever. I feel like those people have a hard time like going into like people telling them what to do and having some type of structure because they're used to being their own boss.
Deadlines that somebody else sets. Yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
So what's your thoughts on it?
I agree completely with you guys. It's very hard to turn an entrepreneur into a 9-to-5 because I feel like they'll feel so constricted by a regimen. Yet you take someone who's used to being in that regimen, and they would likely flourish if they have like that element of creativity when they're an entrepreneur, because then they're able to get things done. It becomes efficient. So.
And they carry over those good habits from a 9-to-5, because there are certain things that I've learned through jobs that I'm like, oh, thank God, I done got the discipline from doing this or whatever, because now it's ingrained in me. So I have no issues.
I think time management.
Oh, time management is still not
thing.
it for me. Sorry, I'm gonna be late.
Oh no, see, I'm
African time. Sorry.
Well, not even being late, but like with your tasks.
Oh yeah.
Like you're given a task and a goal, and it's kind of like you have to stick to that, or somebody's coming question you.
For me, it's gonna get done. Like I don't care. I be staying up till like 3 a.m. in the morning. Everything I like set for, I need to get it done. Like.
And that's what I mean. Like I think sometimes it's going from like where you're just setting your own deadlines and you're able to do whatever. It's really easy to say, oh, I'll do that at a better time for me.
Mhm.
Whereas a 9 to 5, you're on somebody else's
Yeah,
time,
true.
you know, so
That's
you're
true.
able to kind of commit to those timelines, and I think that can go over with an entrepreneurship type of situation a little bit differently.
Mhm. I feel that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh no, I was just saying I agree. Like yeah, it's important. Like again, like if you aren't able to have structure while you're an entrepreneur, like I feel like a lot of ways it's almost harder, right? Because not only are you responsible for yourself, you're then responsible. Say if you have a business, okay, you're responsible for all those employees. Then you have to be able to assess what happens when those employees and their individual priorities and responsibilities doesn't favor your business. That hurts your business. And learning how to deal with that, learning how, if you have multiple ventures, learning how to manage all of those, it's kind of like a 9 to 5 as far as the skill set times 10, like 10-fold. You know, you just don't have to clock in, but you're really clocking in 24/7.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's my biggest thing about being an entrepreneur. Like, my favorite thing about my job is when I
Just
log
cut off.
off, like, shit, I don't care what y'all do, the building could be burned to the ground, as long as my check comes through, I ain't gonna say nothing. You know, like, I can really turn it off. But if I had my own business, like, I don't know if I could ever stop thinking about it.
You know what? I stopped thinking about my business. I surely do. Like, I need my boundaries, you know what I'm saying? So I guess that's what like a 9 to 5 has taught me, like being able to cut stuff off. I know when to cut stuff off when it comes to my business, like, and I know what to accept and what not to accept, and I just, you know, keep trekking along and moving forward or whatever. And it's funny that you mentioned employees, because that's true. Like, I feel like you are a better entrepreneur and a better boss when you've had a 9 to 5 and you've been the employee, because then you can relate to your employees. Because I've seen a lot of businesses really suffer because they don't have, I guess, the professionalism or whatever to really sustain it and sustain their employees, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, professional leadership really is something that, I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is hard to come by, I find. I mean, it is, even in the most professional environments. So, but I am interested, like, if you guys are in the comments, like, let us know how you think it transitions. How does 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, how do those work together? How do they benefit each other? I'd like to hear from y'all.
And I want to also hear, like, what do you guys think professionalism is? Because I used to be somebody who strongly rejected the word professional, just because the way I approach things, people will say, like, oh, you're not professional. And I'm like, well, you know what? I told you what needs to be done. I'm very direct or whatever. So what do you guys think being professionalism is? Because sometimes I think people try to connect it to being, like, friendly. And I don't think you always need to be friendly to be professional. Sometimes you just need to say it and get the job done and have a good plan.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Definitely agree with that.
I think Dos Equis, she said something really good. Not letting your business pour into your personal life is huge.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like, I cannot tell you, like, I produced and we making beats. People come to me all the time, like, friends, all right, we cool, you know. They'll be like, hey, hook me up with this, hook me up with that. And part of being professional is, like, telling them no. Like, you have to pay. Like, it's not like a free handout thing. This is my livelihood. And you have to respect your own business before people can respect your business. So,
For sure. I agree with that. Like, I'm glad my friends be asking me how much I want before I do something for them. It's free, but thanks for asking. You know, because it is kind of disrespectful, and it's almost kind of like people don't, like, really believe in you, I guess, because they feel like they can just use you dry.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing to, like, realize as you're coming up, because it's like people you were close with, people you spent a lot of time with. So that's some shit. And shout out to Dos Equis, okay? You've been in every damn live ever since your show, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Byron, not Brian, says that being professional is about making connections and being on top of your stuff. I agree with that. You got to make connections with your staff, with your colleagues, with your higher ups, and staying on top of your stuff. I think that that's the biggest professional courtesy you can give to somebody is being on top of your shit, because that means that nobody else has to do it for you.
Can you be on top of your shit without being friendly with people, without making connections with people? Because
I don't think being friendly and making connections are the same thing.
Okay, what about, I mean both, because sometimes
I'm not friendly at work. I have like a few people in my department that I'm like cool with, that I'm like, hey, how you're doing? But like that's gonna be the end of it, because I've been in situations where like that just goes south, because your coworkers aren't your friends.
Right.
That's just the truth. No hard feelings. It is what it is.
Sorry if you're watching.
Like, sorry, but you know, I think that I'm pretty clear, because I'm one of those people, like, I come in with headphones in, I don't say good morning. Most of the time,
shit.
I like
Sorry.
sit down at my desk. Some people take that as rude.
They do.
But at the end of the day, they have the connection to know me, that I'm going to take care of my job, and they can trust that I'll do my job so they can do theirs.
Okay.
I think that's what a connection is for me.
Okay, so I would say that I have the same connection to where I go into work and I excel. I really put my all in whatever job I do, and I've worked in every damn industry there is. So whatever I do, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And like, you know, it really bothers me. Like, and that's the thing I hate about 9-to-5s, because as an entrepreneur, like, you choose who you want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And if you done working with them, you done working with them. But a 9-to-5, I can't fire my supervisor.
Personalities.
You know? I can't. Like, and there's conflicting personalities, people you're just not compatible with, and that like can sometimes different work ethics. Oh my god.
I can't stand a lazy.
Me
I'm sorry. I'm gonna
neither.
just say I can't stand a lazy bitch.
Not at all.
And if you watching, you know it.
Not
Like,
at all.
I'm just saying.
I can't stand it. Like, and I hate people who complain. Just
Oh my
complain
God.
the whole time. I'm like, hey, there's a way you can do this, that, and they still complain. Oh, bitch, you just want to complain to make it seem like you're doing work, but you're not really doing work. Oh, let me mind my business then. I'm gonna have to move away from you.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm one of those people that like, I just get it done. Like, it's gotta be done. It's been tasked. Like, let's just work on it and get it done. But people who just like to bitch and complain drives me crazy.
Work smart, not hard.
Mm.
Okay, there's the key. If you get all of your work done first and you stay quiet, nobody will notice that you not working. Okay, I get my work done in the first 3 hours. The next 5 hours, I'm just
Yahoo News. Yahoo
Yeah,
News.
like,
I'm gonna tell you right now.
that's all you gotta do. But people just be wasting all their time and then trying to drag you down with them. And like, that's another like thing I'm gonna advise people on. If you work a 9-to-5, don't let people drag you down with them, because they're friendly and you hang out outside of work. Even if you're really cool outside of work, they're still just your coworkers. Okay, until you guys have both quit the job and you're still friends, you guys are just coworkers, and you have to have that mindset to protect yourself. So
Absolutely.
That's
I
right.
always say your coworkers are not your friends, because they will be the first ones to throw you under the bus to better themselves or further themselves.
Exactly. So
9-to-5 is very cutthroat.
it's so cutthroat, so competitive, and that's why I guess like I do like being like on my own, because it's like I create my own lane, and if somebody does feel like they're in competition with me, I can just be like, block, bye. Like, I don't have to deal with them. But like in a 9-to-5, I have to see your face every day until we become cool or something.
Yeah.
And me, I'm a quiet ass bitch and like resting bitch face, so I do look mean and I look intimidating, and I know it, and I use it to my advantage.
Same.
That's my privilege.
Same.
You don't need to talk to me.
Because I think, like, I'm a direct person. Like, I'm going to tell you how it is. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I think that's counterproductive, and that comes off as rude a lot of the time.
No, that's true. My coworkers, my bosses, they watched my podcast and said I was a lot more upbeat on my podcast.
Yeah, because I want to be here.
Exactly. I'm like, what the fuck you mean? What's going on? But shit, let's go ahead and get into the next one. Okay. A little hot there. What are the pros and cons? We're kind of already venturing towards that. So God. Okay. What are some pros? Let's start with 9-to-5s. I'd say a pro is getting to ride the clock and not having to really do as much, you know?
Yeah.
So just knowing how to like freak your way through the business while still getting your work done. Because I'm pro getting your work done. Don't be on people's clock and not get your shit done. That's rude.
I think the biggest pro of being a 9-to-5er is you don't have to carry the weight of anything but yourself.
Right.
Like, as long as your work is done, like, your work is done, and nothing else matters, and like, your success has been your little part of the puzzle for that company.
That's true. because my like coworkers, I guess, they didn't make their numbers or whatever, and so they were like threatening us to work on Saturdays now. So I was just like, bitches, y'all need to get your shit together. Like, that's when I started being vocal. Other than that, why would I ever need to talk to you about what you're doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's just when it starts to affect me.
And that's a con.
Right.
You know, it's like if somebody doesn't pull the weight, like, if you're on a bigger team, it affects your whole team, even if you're doing your work. And that just happened with, at my job, is like our production levels increased because people weren't meeting their current production. So it's like, you know, especially with working from home, like people are like messing around and stuff. So yeah, that's a con for sure. It's like the teamwork has to be there or it doesn't work.
And let me ask y'all this. Like, when that does happen at your jobs, what do you do? Do you just take on the extra work? Because I'll tell my supervisor straight up, I wasn't assigned this. I have my own work to do. Like, I really be doing that.
I do too. I don't care who you are. Like, if you're asking me about something or you're bringing something to me, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, if I think something doesn't make sense, I'm going to tell you that something doesn't make sense. Or if something's, like, not right, or, you know, I work with, like, healthcare, so if I find something to be not in the benefit of a patient, I'll say something, you know, and it doesn't always make me the favorite, but at the end of the day,
like, I just have a business mindset. That's a business mindset. You're just trying to get the things done. You're trying to fix whatever needs to be fixed and move on.
But then I'm also, like, looking out for my teammates who might be in the same situation and don't
have a voice.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to use my voice because I don't give a fuck. Like, if you don't like me, that is what it is, but at the end of the day, you can't do nothing about it.
But the thing that does piss me off about that is that I'm the one who's called aggressive. Like, in meetings, I'll speak up. I'll be like, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And then, like, you know, we all get back to the room. Oh, girl, you were so aggressive, but I loved it. I'm like, bitch, why didn't you back me up?
I think that that's more of you being a black woman.
I do think that as well.
I don't get that ever. Like, it's always... I get really positive responses from it usually, like, and action gets taken.
You know, it was a non-black person who told me. So, I mean, yeah, because I didn't think I was aggressive. I just thought I was straightforward.
Like I always say, if a black woman is in any kind of disagreement, they immediately become an angry black woman. And that's how we like to see it. And that's just the truth.
It happens. I'm used to it.
Especially in the workplace.
I'm used to it, especially because the department I'm in now, it's all black people. So it's like you don't even have room to say that, even though it does happen within the black community. Especially, like, because I'm darker skinned, I'm plus size, so it's like, again, I'm seen as a villain sometimes, but I can't express that because it's like, what do you mean? I'm black. I can't be racist or whatever, like, whatever they'll say. There's, like, a lot of dynamics in the workplace, and people play a lot of roles, and it happens in every job. Like, every job I've worked, I'm like, bitch, you remind me of this one bitch at my last job. Yeah,
there are certain characters at every job, and somebody has to play them.
Exactly. So, am I the angry black woman? I'm the angry black woman.
I'm the sassy homo. I am.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I don't have too much personal experience in like the corporate workforce. The extent of my jobs are like really practical. So just like a brief little history. My first job was at a barbecue joint. Second job was at work study at school. So I worked at a front desk. I guess that you could argue would probably be the closest thing that I had to those certain experiences. But I definitely feel that there's a tension and a bit of like an environment where like you get a lot of microaggressions. So, and that's even me experiencing that, like I just could only empathize what it was like for my homegirl, Nay, who, you know, she's a black woman. She works in the field. I'm sure, like, in some, like, of her jobs that she's faced, like, way more types of, like, that kind of microaggressive behavior. And so it's definitely a real thing. It actually, it ruffles my feathers, so to speak, when people try to say that this isn't a problem or try to say that, like, this doesn't exist, these stigmas don't exist. It's like they do, and you just don't want to open your eyes it.
Right.
You know.
I agree. I agree with that.
There's a lot of microaggressions in the corporate workforce. A lot.
Yeah, a lot in like so many different variations. Like it goes beyond just like skin color. Like it goes to being a woman. Like it goes to just your personality too. Like people treat introverts like they just can't, you know, be at work and be to themselves or whatever. Like they will really get demonized. I've seen people click up and really like turn against people for no damn reason. That's another con to 9 to 5. So I really don't like is the cliques.
Especially like working in healthcare, it's a very female-dominated environment, and it's very cutthroat. And so you see a lot of the cliques and a lot of the sort of teaming up, and it's not always cool. It doesn't always end well.
And somebody did submit answer to one of my questions on the polls. He was saying that like you need to have a for self mindset in either one of those areas. Like you need to always be for yourself. In a 9 to 5, you need to always be for yourself as an entrepreneur, because if you're not, like you're always going to be allowing people to cross certain boundaries, and you're always going to be allowing negative shit to happen to you. So
that's true.
I just feel like I want to ask, what are some ways that you guys feel like you've had that for self mindset?
Oh, in my current situation where I accepted a higher paying promotion, was like there were other people on my team that I kind of felt like might be qualified for that position, so I didn't share that it was even open. Like, hey, if I apply for this job and they apply for this job, I might not get it. I'm looking out for myself at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And that might be kind of like shysty, but it's the truth. Like, you getting that job doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I feel that. I think I'm like so opposite from you in the sense that I allow people to know. Like I'd be wanting, I'd be welcoming the competition, because there was like an open position at my job, and I was like, oh, you should totally do it. Oh, you should totally do it. And then everybody's like, no, no, no. Why did I go? And I was like, hey, I would like to do the job. Like,
I mean, but it's like for me, I came from a point where I worked at this company for barely a year, and some of these people have worked there for 5+ years. And so, like, that would totally pass me up, my seniority. And I don't have a bachelor's degree. So, like, those things would have hurt me. So I'm like, I'm going to keep to myself on that one.
No, yeah, like you're saying, like, at my job, there is, like, a lot of seniority. I just don't know what it is about me that I'm just, like, if it's for me, it is. If it's not, that's probably the entrepreneur mindset inside.
I was gonna say like
a 9 to 5, because I'm like, well, there's enough opportunities for everybody. But shit, so I mean that is like still to me a for self mindset, because they were even telling me, they're like, oh, if you accept this position, people are gonna turn against you. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I come here to make some money. Like,
that's everywhere though. Whenever you move up, like people don't like to see that.
Exactly. People like to see you be at the same level that they're at. Like they want to kiki with you and kiki about other stuff.
And people will gaslight you a lot about stuff like that. And like people will gaslight you about anything at work, honestly.
And the thing is, I don't think like an employee. Like, I don't think it's ever good to think like an employee, even if you are just an employee. You need to always think like you're the CEO or like you're the business owner. So that way, you're more favored at work. Because if you're always thinking as an employee, you're never going to get those opportunities. You're always mad about some decision your manager made, and there's someone over your manager making the decision. So what you mad for? Like, that's just how it goes. That's the chain of command.
People love blaming middle management like they can do something.
Exactly. Like, I'm just like...
It's like a big game of telephone. That's it.
That's it. So, but some people don't understand that, and I guess those are the people who are content in their, like, area of life or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't want to diss anybody, because that's not good to do, but I just do feel like some people can be content, and they just, their complaining is like their, what do you call it? Their crutch. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And you know what? The same thing really applies in the school discourse as well. So we're talking about scholarships. You're talking about grants. I remember there were a couple of, and this might not specifically be school, but kind of like in the same parameters in school also deals with like grants and such. There was a COVID relief fund that I had heard about that I applied for and got my money, and then I told people, because it was a thing where it's money, right? And that is part of that is like you gotta look out for yourself first. Like you gotta, how can you help someone else when you're not even necessarily you haven't even helped yourself first. So it's definitely that aspect, especially from my perspective as a musician, like in the conservatory at that. There aren't a lot of scholarships for, my major, my field of choice. Maybe when you're in high school going into college, but I'm a senior in college now, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of scholarship money out there for me, much less for graduate school. So there's sometimes you have to explore that opportunity yourself first, get that money for you, then pull up other people once you've gotten your, saying.
I think that's a good thing to do too. Like, just go get it for yourself and then clue people in on how to get it later. Mm-hmm. And I would say, what I really do that with is focus groups. Have you guys heard of focus groups?
Absolutely.
I love me a good ass focus group. Have you done a focus group?
I haven't done a focus group personally, but I've heard a little bit about.
So basically, it's you're just doing some random ass type of study. You get paid for it. Right now, I'm in a study about banking or whatever. Mm-hmm. So every day I have to talk about when I'm about to spend some money or some shit like that. I'm gonna get $400 after the thing is over.
Money.
It's so easy.
Talking about apps or pizza flavors,
music, candy.
It's usually $100 to $150 an hour.
Yes, it's a lot of money, and my favorite ones to do are the jury duty studies or whatever.
Yes, where you get to pretend to be in a jury.
Yes. Oh, I've heard so many juicy court cases. I'm just oh snap! I get paid for this. So.
It's really an easy bag to get.
And they provide food too. They'll be giving you snacks,
sandwiches,
meals, all that, Jimmy John's or whatever the fuck.
Hello.
Yes.
Juice.
So, focus groups are so good, but that is a scarce thing. So I don't be telling nobody when I sign up. I sign up for everything at once. Once I get into one, I'm hey guys, come do the study. Hey y'all, come do the study. Because they only need so many demographics in each group or whatever that things will get closed out. So if too many people know about it.
And there's people that do that for their jobs.
Yeah.
So people
I could do it for my job.
People be on the lookout. So yeah, you definitely have to keep for yourself on that. But go ahead.
I was gonna say I could do it as a job if I quit my job, because a lot of times they're during
work hours.
During work hours or whatever. So yeah, you can make $1,000 a week if you really wanted to, because there's so many studies.
Yeah. But I was just gonna say really quick how you were talking about how you have to compete for college money. I personally believe our college system is designed to produce corporate America members. That's a perfect example. There's only a certain amount of money. There's only a certain amount of this. There's only a certain amount of spots. That is literally how corporate America is. There's only a certain number of spots. There's only a certain number of this. Oh, the light ended. But,
It's been an hour?
But, it's just, you have to be cognizant of that, because if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you have to fight that much harder, because it's not necessarily how college works for you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know it's been an hour. I was just thinking, damn, how long has it been?
That was it.
Well, I feel like I started that 5 minutes before even. I thought we had a little bit more time left, I guess.
That's good. 37 people. Oh, you're so fucking bright, dude.
I know. I'm
I was looking. I was trying to figure out how I can move it.
Just move it towards the end that way.
Oh.
It's fine. It's because I'm so Caucasian.
So Caucasian. My thighs are so huge. I'm trying to find a good cover. He's a great conversationalist. So
he is. Tracy, get mommy some of that special nicotine gum.
No.
Tracy, give mommy the nicotine gum.
Don't here.
Sir?
Sir. Ma'am.
That was like so natural. Love to see it.
We do love to see it.
Worked. My back hurts. Alright, we'll go live for like 10 more minutes. I'm so glad my electricity did not cut off. And my Wi-Fi didn't cut off either. So happy.
Same.
Alright. When we go live again, you don't have to send it.
Okay.
What does my back hurt?
Oh, are you gonna grow the farm?
How many questions we have? Just 3.
Tracy, let me explain something to you. You're a guest here.
Damn. Hold on, let me check if I have any.
Tracy, get away from me, you freak! Oh my god, I hope that's recording all of that.
No, I stopped it.
Oh.
Asking for my nicotine gum.
Yeah, I stopped it soon after there.
That's the wet ass pushers.
Wet ass pussy. That's a whap, whap, whap.
Wear a mask, please.
Okay. We got 4 followers doing the show.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
And they're all from Dallas. We love to see it. Okay. Alrighty. I'm ready. That's a whap, whap, whap. Wet, 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 wet.
It's,
What's happening here?
I think it was like that. Yes.
Okay.
Come on in, guys. Come on in. Sorry, the live caught off. How much time left we have on the video camera?
11 minutes left.
Great. That's enough time that we need. KKuddaMusic, if you're back in here, please come on in and request again. We would love to finish up with you. I think I do see a request. Have we started recording? Coolio.
what is my name?
Hold on, bitches.
Oh my god.
Okay.
My Instagram stopped working.
Chill, 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 chill. Yes, you got, sorry. I don't know why I was doing that. Please just forget I did that.
I thought you were trying to say something.
No, 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 no.
That's not nice.
That's not nice.
No. Anyways, hey, welcome back. Sorry, when we go over an hour, it cuts off. But we're gonna finish up. We have like 2 or 3 questions left, and then we'll be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Dos Equis says y'all eating hot Cheetos and grapes.
Yes.
First
yes.
of all,
you have an
those
issue.
Eckies. Yeah, we some hot Cheeto girls. No, I'm good. I've got 'em.
Shit. Damn, I thought he was gonna take it for dramatic effect. Maybe I should.
No, I'm not that real.
Okay. Anyways, does the 9-to-5 system benefit society? Why does 9-to-5s get looked down on? I think 9-to-5s only get looked down on because when you work a 9-to-5, you really don't have too much control. And I'm somebody who does like to feel like I have some control, which is why I plan for every like single thing.
Yeah.
But that's just my view on it. What about you?
I think they get looked down on because at the end of the day, you know, like when you retire and stuff, you really don't have a lot to show for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main reason.
Hmm.
But I think it's very contributory to society. Like, we couldn't have society functioning without 9-to-5ers, you know? I think that everybody has a place.
Yeah, I feel that as well.
I would say entrepreneurs would not have businesses if there weren't 9-to-5ers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Say that one more time for.
I said entrepreneurs would not have a business if it were not 9-to-5ers.
Yeah. I agree with that because, like, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, like when I used to work in like private doctors' offices and stuff, like they always outsourced human resources, IT. Like those are 9-to-5ers, even though this doctor's an entrepreneur, you know.
Right.
So that's a good point.
That is a good point. They are the foundation of people getting to live out their dreams, pretty much. Like even a celebrity, like who's keeping them in charge? A 9-to-5er.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody serves a purpose in life, and that's just how I see it. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think we see so much imagery of people who get in the 9-to-5s and lose their ambition and reach a certain age in their lives where they question what my true passion was or whatever. But you also don't see a lot of people who, you don't hear a lot of stories anymore about those people that do those 9-to-5s and fall in love with the work, you know, fall in love with what they do on the daily. So I think that's part of the reason of how it gets painted like that.
True.
I think that's because nobody likes to work. Like, truly, I love my job. I love what I do, but I don't like to work.
I like to work. I think I'm kind of like a workaholic. Like
absolutely
I like
not.
to get things done. I like to, you know, when I accomplish something, check that shit off the. No, all right. Well, I mean,
Not for me.
It gives me a little bit of satisfaction.
I get that though too, but like I'm somebody who would totally be fine with like sitting at home, like cleaning my house when somebody's bringing home the bacon. I am. I don't know.
think I can be a stay-at-home.
And I did.
person.
Skylar just co-signed that statement.
Okay,
So.
Skylar. All right.
Yes.
All right. 2 against 1.
But that's just me. Like, that's definitely not for everybody. Like, it is a overall boring and insignificant existence, and that's to be completely honest.
I couldn't be a breadwinner, but I definitely would need to work. I would need to work, but I can't be the breadwinner.
The only bread I'm getting is mine.
Bitch.
Next.
That's some true stuff. Would you mind not being the breadwinner, or do you have to be the breadwinner of your household?
Me?
Yeah.
I
What the hell?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Low battery.
Low battery.
fortunately with 2 parents. However, sorry, it cut out there. Did you hear what I
Yeah,
said?
can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I said I grew up in a household, fortunately with 2 parents, blessed for that. But my mom was actually the breadwinner, and my dad owns a business. So I've had that experience of like, I didn't grow up like having that thinking that, oh, because I'm a male, like I have to be the one carrying in the most money. Me personally, I feel like it's a beautiful thing when both partners can contribute financially, and it doesn't matter who brings in more.
Yeah.
As long as both are actively, I would say, contributing in one way or another.
You know what? I would have to agree with that because, me too. Grew up in a dual parent household, and my dad was the breadwinner for a while, and then when he switched jobs, my mom became the breadwinner or whatever. And seeing like both ends of the spectrum, I just decided for myself, I was like, as the person I am, as the personality I have, sometimes, I do, go overboard and where like I'm generous. So like I would need somebody else to do better than me, so that way I don't feel like I'm being over generous. So it's not even about role playing for me. It's really just about personality.
I agree with that. I mean, mine was the same way. My dad was the breadwinner for probably the first half of my life, and after that my mom was. But to me, it's like, it's not about roles at all. It's about personality. Like, there's a breadwinner personality, and people fit into that, so.
Yeah. So last 2 questions. Yes. Okay. Let's see. So do we feel like creativity and freedom is stifled in a 9-to-5? We kind of answered that a little bit. I don't think it is. I think sometimes people just don't work the right jobs for them. I've had 2 different jobs where I've been able to really express myself creatively. Surprisingly enough, everybody who works with me is Black, and it's always those type of jobs that like I can really thrive in. But I have had jobs where like I felt like I couldn't be myself, I couldn't really think, and I couldn't really contribute any type of ideas. So I didn't have any type of way to prove that I was a good worker. And sometimes I get a lot of like validation from my achievements. So that's really what I'd be needing at a job.
I think you get a lot, like, it just really depends on kind of like how go-getter you are, in my opinion. because for me, I do a lot of creative problem solving in my job, like solutions for problems that are like, dang, what are we gonna do now? You know, that I think is creative in and of itself. You know, so I definitely don't agree with that. I think it's not. I don't believe it's stifled.
Okay. And what about you?
I think it depends on how much that person works, what they do. Because I do see a lot of people who work these strenuous jobs and they want to do something creative, or it's more so like if it's a second passion or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just don't have the energy to do it. Like you get off work, like I used to work like so long in the summer. I also used to be teacher and counselor. I was a camp counselor for kids. So being with kids all day, and then I had teenagers.
No, the teens are the worst. Okay.
Right. I'm going home. I'm going to sleep. Like, I don't have energy to do this, that, and the third. So I see it in that sense, but I think time management is huge. And you have to just know, you know, you make time for what you make time for.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
think there are ways around and ways to still find ways. I think there are ways to be creative with having a 9-to-5.
You know what though? Working with kids is where I was the most creative because I made them do everything I wanted to do. I was like, okay, we're gonna learn this dance today. All right, we're gonna act out this script today, guys. Like that was where I really found my creativity. He's disgusted. He cannot do kids.
Oh, fucking good.
Fucking kids. Hell no. But our last question was, can everybody be a leader in some capacity? And I'm gonna just go ahead and say like yes. Like for instance, you may be like a family person, right? So you may be the leader in getting everybody in the family together or sorting out the family's problems or whatever. But you may not be the leader in like planning a big ass party or something like that. Like you may not be the leader for that. So I do think everybody has some type of leader quality in them. They just have to tap into it and see what they would be best for.
I would agree with that. Everybody can kind of like, everybody has their own drum, you know, so like my leadership qualities are very different than yours, but we're in two very different areas professionally, you know, so definitely I agree with that.
And your thoughts?
I think at a certain point in everybody's life, you're going to have to lead and you're going to have to follow.
That's true.
And it's based on what you're naturally, like what you're put on this earth to do, whether that shows in like an office, you have to come up with a marketing plan or something, and it's like, okay, we're dealing with sports. I know sports. Let me take the lead on
Right.
Or it's, you know, anything like that. It can be the smallest thing, but we really lead and we follow on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, because to be a good leader, you have to understand what it takes, you know, to be a follower, because
Right.
I think people kind of downplay. It's not always easy to be led. Like, you
Right.
really have to be receptive to that and kind of know where your place is. So I think that that is a great leadership quality, is to understand what it's like to be led.
I have no issues being a follower when I for sure don't know what the topic is.
Definitely.
If I know I can do it better and there's just some arrogance spelling out here, I'm gonna be like, hey, can I do this? Or whatever.
I think that's
but
a leadership quality.
It is, but some people
when
are
you
not.
can't.
Some people are not receptive of that. Like they are like, oh, you think you can do my job better than me? What? Like no, I just think you can learn from me as I'm learning from you. So, but I just feel like you do need to be able to do both if you want to be successful. Okay, you guys, I want to go ahead and thank you, Zach, thank you, Skylar, and thank you, KKuddaMusic, for joining us today. It's your girl, Victoria, and this is Served on Sundays. Make sure you catch us next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.